Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Divorce-a-Palooza. And today I want to ask you a question. What do you think it means to be a strong and independent woman? Now, when people go through a divorce, I feel like you could be a really strong and independent woman and you go through a divorce and you're a shell of yourself. You're feeling vulnerable. You don't have the self confidence you normally do. You don't have the self love, maybe because you've been in a not so good marriage and you never heard nice things. So there's a lot of reasons you're not temporarily strong and independent. So I thought we would talk about what it means to be strong and independent and how to get there. My guest is Maci Chance. Maci is a real estate agent who specializes in helping women who are going through a divorce and after. And Maci obviously went through a divorce herself. She walked the walk. And Macy's in Colorado. She works for Live Laugh Denver. She can help you buy your house, buy a house, sell your house, both, rent, whatever you need. And
Mhm.
hi, Macy.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Always love talking to you. And I'm going to say this to your face because you know I've said it behind your back. Talking to Macy is like taking like a stimulant. Like you're just, and I've known you now for a few years.
Mhm.
And you're always so positive and upbeat, and I know it's not an act, and I know you had a really hard divorce and then were a single mother, financially struggling, ended up finding love, got remarried, so happy, but even more importantly, even though I love that you're in love and happy, is that you found a career and you found how to be a strong and independent woman.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's been such a journey. I mean, I left my divorce feeling like you said at the beginning, like a shell of myself. I was like, how did I get here? Who even am I? I'm living alone, raising two girls, trying to figure out how to I never even had mowed a lawn before, you know? I mean, and to be honest, I still haven't, but you learn how to hire people for that kind of stuff, but, you have to figure out, like, how do you get things fixed around the house, and how do you raise 2 girls by yourself and be financially independent, and I came out of my divorce, like you said, a shell of myself, and really learned along the way, how to build that resilience and the independence, and the definition of independence changed a lot for me.
Okay, so how did you do it? I mean, I know there's no short answer or
Right.
anything, but tell me a few things that helped you, like kind of explain your journey.
Sure. Yeah, so I would say, when I first was living on my own, as a single mom with my two girls, it was very much survival mode. It was very much, and it was really focused on making sure my girls had the stability that they needed. And part of that journey was purchasing a new home. I was able to take the equity from our marital home, and purchase a new home. And so I was very fortunate to be able to do that, and made a really good financial investment and decision to do that. So that was kind of part of the independence journey, but it was very much about providing stability for my girls and getting them what they needed. And once we started to kind of stabilize, the girls were in their own schools, we knew where we landed, then it was starting to look inward. I was doing therapy, I was doing any kind of personal growth work that I could get my hands on, workshops, any kind of retreats, those kinds of things, books, podcasts, all of that. Just really like diving into how did I get here?
So it sounds like you had a really open mind, like you wanted to better yourself. But there's a lot of people who don't, and they just keep thinking, well, I never wanted this divorce. And that's, I think, how you get stuck.
Yeah.
So, if you're sitting here watching this and you're thinking, well, I never wanted this divorce. We understand. We
Yeah.
really do. Neither did we. I mean,
Right.
whether a person leaves their husband and even if you're technically the one who wanted the divorce, you didn't want to be divorced.
No.
So, how do you get the motivation? Like, what was it that made you say, okay, I'm going to try to better myself? Did you just reach rock bottom or?
I don't know if it was necessarily a rock bottom. I think I just kind of got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I kind of got sick and tired of repeating the same patterns, and really where that showed up was when I started dating way too soon. Was in a relationship with somebody who was an avoidant attached, which attached is a great book to read. But it was really like going, okay, I'm the person at the scene of this crime. So how do I change myself? And we've talked about this before. I have a saying like, you are in certain circumstances, you are a victim. Like you have had this happen to you. And I say like we can pitch a tent in victimhood, but we can't build a house there. It's temporary. We have to feel it. The only way out is through. Like you have to feel the feelings. There's no bypassing it. But the whole point is to be able to move forward. You have to go through the hard stuff. And so what made me want to do that was I was tired of repeating patterns. I knew that I had attracted somebody else in my life that was similar in a lot of ways to my ex-husband. We broke up, and then I was like, okay, I got to be single for a while. I need to figure out who am I? And because I wanted to be in a really healthy, loving relationship. But I also wanted to be really healthy myself, and a good mom for my girls, and a good me for me. And so that's really what drove me.
Okay, now what is the definition in your opinion, and then I'll tell you my opinion of being strong and independent? What does that
Right.
mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, at first I think it was a little bit of this like resistance mode of I have to do everything on my own, and I'm gonna figure all this out, and I don't need anybody else to help me. And then, I mean, really, the journey of meeting my now husband was really eye opening for me, because what I realized, and my husband is a helper, he's considered a helper in Enneagram 2, for those who know that. I mean, his joy is to help other people. And so when I see this person coming into my life going, I really want to help you, not enable you, but help you and help you be better. I had to really redefine it. And so for me now, it's my strength and independence comes from my vulnerability. How vulnerable do I allow myself to be to allow the help that I really do need? We cannot do things all by ourselves. We're not designed that way.
Well, it
And
sounds like there's like a fine line. Like to me, being independent, I love what you're saying. Like you're with someone who like wants to help you and it's almost uncomfortable sometimes to ask for the help. But that's healthy too. But there's a
mhm,
fine line. In other words, if your husband, you had never met him, he was out of the picture, he didn't exist,
yep,
okay? You would be completely fine. And that's what I
yep,
wanna stress here to people
yes,
watching. You should try to be completely self-sufficient and say, "I don't need anyone, but isn't it nice to have someone?"
yes. Absolutely. And really, I mean, it was a 5-year journey before I met my husband. I mean, I was single for 5 years after my divorce, and like I said, dated a little bit here and there, but knew that I needed to be really happy with myself. And I remember one time my girls were at my parents'. I had the house completely alone to myself, and I was like, and before I would have been like, I gotta find somebody to hang out with, I gotta find somebody, I gotta do something. And I remember just sitting in my house, and all of a sudden just feeling this wave of, must have been love. Something overcame me of like, I actually feel really good being by myself. Like this is enjoyable to be alone. And that was a huge moment for me, because it wasn't like me needing to fill myself up with other things and other people. I felt whole and complete as myself just sitting there. And that was a big turning point for me. And that is what I carried forward as I continued to be single. And then I met my husband.
Well, everybody I know who's going through a divorce who has ever been through one had a huge fear of being alone. That's like the
Hmm.
biggest fear you can have, I
Yep,
think. And you're right. And I love that you so clearly remember that moment.
I do.
And
Yep.
I also love a quote that you wrote in one of your articles for Divorce Girl Smiling that says, "I didn't need Tad to save me." Tad is Macy's husband. "I had already saved myself."
Hmm.
And I just thought that was so beautiful and I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to just close this by bringing up the point strong. Like, we're like, "Oh, how do you be a strong and independent woman?"
Mhm.
Macy and I are not sitting here telling you that you have to be strong every single second and you have to be it is perfectly okay to cry, feel sorry for yourself, feel like you're struggling. You have the right to feel however you want. But what we are suggesting is that should find the strength that you do have within yourself because you have so much more than you think. And didn't you
Mhm.
realize that, Macy? Like, you're like, wow, I'm so much stronger than I even thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a great lesson for me because I had lost so much of that in my marriage. I had allowed that to go. And I had allowed that to be taken away from me. And so for me to be able to reclaim that self-love, reclaim that feeling of knowing that I'm worthy and I'm enough just as I am without anybody needing to tell me otherwise. It was it's such an opportunity, it's such an invitation during this divorce process to really learn that about yourself.
Oh, I just love it. The last thing I'm going to say about independence is independence does not mean being alone all the time. Like we said,
Nope.
you can get married again if you want. If you want to get married or fall in love again, that's great. But
Yep.
you can still be independent when you're in a relationship and you should be independent because then your relationship will even be so much better.
Yep.
And I know
Absolutely.
like my significant other, it works really well because we're both such independent people that we don't have to say, "Ooh, I feel guilty that I'm doing this and leaving him home alone," or
Hmm.
vice versa. We just are very independent people, and that's very healthy. But and it's also just so wonderful for you to feel independent,
Yeah.
it's that strength.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love being with my husband, but I also love the time that I'm not with my husband. I like to be with my girlfriends. I like to be by myself. So the definition of independence isn't about how much you let somebody help you or don't help you or do it all on your own. It's really just having that sense of self-worth and knowing that you have enough inside of you and that's all you need and the rest of it is just absolutely, it's the jewelry in the outfit, it's the purse and the shoes of the outfit. It just enhances you and makes you look better and feel better.
Macy, I just love it. Thank you so much for taking time to be on Divorceapalooza.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to tell everyone who's watching, if you live in the Denver area and you're looking for a real estate agent, you can get in touch with Macy by going to macichance.com. You can also find Macy in the trusted professional section of Divorce Girl Smiling. Thanks so much, and we will see you real soon.